Sargeras was right about Azeroth. Oh, we love this trope in WoW. You know, insert villain's name here and then say was right afterwards. Arthas was right. You know, Garrosh was right. And now it's Sargeras was right. Okay, let's see why Sargeras was right about Azeroth. And I bet why he'll potentially return in some way, shape, or form to help us defeat his Titan siblings. Here we go. This one from Bellular.
Our community has a belief that Sargeras is coming back. Blizzard haven't quite said it out loud, but they've spent enough time setting it up. I mean, we know that the World Soul saga is going to deal with the damn sword that's been stuck in Silithus for years.
Right.
We know the Titans are returning. We've seen plenty of wacky World Soul lore that all kind of points out how Sargeras may just have been onto something. Well, that community belief totally checks out. But there are some of us that think it's going to go a step beyond just the return of Sargeras. Some think, and some fear, that he'll get a full redemption. That Sargeras was right, and that in fact all the pure evil he unleashed in the universe was for a greater good. Sometimes in life it's better to
I don't know if you can redeem him. I mean, he was cleaving planets in half. This guy was obliterating freaking millions and billions of people, depending on what the planet population was of these places he was destroying. But I don't know if you can redeem that necessarily. He had a plan, and basically what you could say about Sargeras is his plan, he was right to fear the void, right? He was right to worry about corruption and old gods and void lords and all this other shit. All that he was right about. And he was right that his siblings weren't taking it seriously enough. All that is true. It's just like his means of, achieving the goal of stopping the void was to basically wipe out all living things. Yeah, that probably wasn't right.
Out of debates. But not this debate, not this time. I have got to push back in this hard, and I'll do that by asking you all to take a step back. Whether you are somehow Team Sargeras, or, just want the big man to go and finish the job, then take a step back from the lore. See it all stretched out in your mind, the thousands of years, the hundreds of thousands of burning planets, and realize that there's just no coming back from what Sargeras did. He is not getting a redemption arc. You simply cannot uncleanse half the known universe.
Right.
But whilst you have that perspective, remember that Sargeras is coming. And it is actually for a very important reason. So today, we're going to be doing two things together. First, we're doing a rap sheet. We're going to lay out all the evil, all the crimes. That's when you'll see, like the final hammer landing in Better Call Saul, no matter how much you want your man to get away with it, the extensive list of crimes simply doesn't lie. And second, we're going to talk about the fact that Sargeras likely will feature in The Last Titan. That yes, he had a point, and that if recent leaks are to be believed, then maybe we'll need someone with his type of Titan-killing knowledge around to help us.
I mean, Chris Metzen said, oh, you are not prepared. Let's just say you are not prepared for how this all ends. Well, I mean, it's Illidan, obviously, he's talking about. That's an Illidan line. And if Illidan comes back, I think Sargeras comes with him, because those two are together right now. Those two are together, tip to tip, finger popping each other, having a good time in that little throne room where Sargeras is currently imprisoned on the chair and Illidan's watching him. So if one of them comes back, both of them come back. I think they're a package deal, and that's why I think both of them are definitely going to make a return in The Last Titan.
Not a redemption arc, but maybe a final deed that might be good before finally leaving the setting. There's a lot to talk about today, so let's begin.
Now not what we
For all this to make sense, I gotta set up a huge thing, and that is Azeroth. Azeroth, our world soul, has been hounded since the beginning of time. Void, Order, Sargeras, the Jailer, and so on. They've all wanted the same thing. Ultimate power. Now, they wanted to do different things with that power, with examples ranging from consume the universe to rebuild reality.
Oh, the Jailer.
All mad stuff. But there is a bit of mistake there, because Sargeras actually shouldn't be on that list. Sargeras did not want Azeroth's power. He's one of the few, maybe one of the only, who did not want her power. No, he wanted to ensure that nobody got it, and he wanted to do that by killing her. See, the difference between Sargeras and the rest is that he realized just how hopeless it was to control Azeroth. He understood that any one force, any one group controlling her would kind of be the end. Now that began for him with the Void.
Well, one thing I will say though is Belial tells the story. He wanted to kill Azeroth. He wanted to destroy her. That was his first goal. The whole Burning Crusade expansion and everything. We went out to Draenor and saw that shit. All of the issues that the Fel have caused on Azeroth, yes, was him getting ready to try to destroy Azeroth. The thing is, though, there's this piece of the lore where he supposedly has a vision where he looks at Azeroth like eye to eye. Like he describes her eye and how it affected him and changed him in some sort of way, where it basically mind fucked him, and he didn't really want to kill her anymore. Now we know Azeroth has this effect on beings. I don't know how it can affect Titans, but we know, at least when it comes to beings of this planet, we talk about the earthen digging too deep and interacting with Azeroth and becoming Thragar. We talk about even old gods and the effect that Azeroth had on them. So Azeroth can affect people's minds. And supposedly when Sargeras goes and does his little stab right with his sword at the end of Legion, he was no longer trying to kill Azeroth at that point. He was trying to do something else. Maybe he was trying to free her. That's the rumor. But his little stab into Silithus was not actually trying to be a kill shot. And that was because he kind of changed his mind about killing her.
He was basically so afraid of the Void's victory that he started the Burning Crusade. He formed the Burning Legion. Better to wipe out all life and let the cosmos restart itself in a few billion years, I guess.
So Azeroth's Jean Grey then, yes,
the
basically.
Forerunners and the Halo rings. But that's a different universe. Now, if you wanted to say that Sargeras was right, you totally could. I mean, Xal'atath is on the precipice of taking Azeroth, and if some leaks are to be believed, it's better to say that maybe she'll become Azeroth or something. Now, in that case,
I think she wants Azeroth's immortality. She cares a lot about living forever and shit. And yes, a world soul / Titan can do that. And I think that's what she's after Azeroth for, immortality.
Might actually need Sargeras to bust his sword out of Silithus to fight an ascendant void god. You could say that Sargeras simply had a brutal solution to the problem.
Yes.
That's why some believe he is worthy of a redemption arc. They did it for Illidan, right? And I agree, sometimes you do need to respect pragmatic decisions that are uncomfortable. But Sargeras was not simply pragmatic. Sargeras was goddamn evil, and that brings us to the rap sheet. So here are, as condensed as possible, the crimes of Sargeras.
Ooh, okay. Sargeras versus the people.
Was no stranger to controversy, even before he fell to madness. You see, as the Titan Pantheon's champion, he bathed worlds that they deemed unfit in the Maker's flames, extinguished civilizations for what they called abusive magic, and they stuffed desirables into a prison realm named Mardum. On that point, Sargeras actually transformed a world into a plane of existence from which nothing could escape, and then he just put as many demons as possible in it. Even for demons.
It acted as an anchor world for demon souls to return to. That's the thing. Demons, when you kill them, their soul is supposed to go back to the Twisting Nether, and it reforms and comes back. That's kind of like the only way you can truly kill them is if you kill them inside of the Twisting Nether, then they actually die.
Use another
the J Bravo,
Knight.
Thank you for that tier 1 sub, 6 months. Unbelievable. Death Knight of our Scourge. Thank you, man. So you kill them there, that's where they die. But that whole regeneration process where if you kill them here, they go to the Twisting Nether, it takes a long time. So what Sargeras wanted to do was have this never-ending army that just constantly is chugging out demons that you can chop through as much as you want. They're still just going to come right back, and you have to kill them, and you're eventually going to lose. And by making this anchor planet, right, he was able to cause them to regenerate much quicker. So that became like their plane of existence that they couldn't escape from. And basically, they were it's almost tormenting. They were just tormented for forever, for an eternity, that if they get killed, they're regenerating real quick, and it's right back to the front of the battle lines. That was what that planet did. Read my shit. The domination runes. That's why he has blue runes on him. At this point, he was being dominated by the Titans to do this. You think he was being dominated by the Titans? Well, the one who does the domination, There's a whole thing about domination. But you want to get into Amenthul and runes, which he learned to do from God, the Primus in the Shadowlands. That's a whole different story. I don't know if those runes necessarily are domination runes. There's different types of runes in World of Warcraft. Not all of them are domination runes. There's rune magic that even Death Knights do to just enchant their swords. So just because you see runes on something doesn't mean it's necessarily for domination purposes. They are the same runes. We'll see. I mean, that could be the thing. That could be. But besides that, this planet and everything else, that's what it basically was. It was an anchor for demon regeneration.
That was a real miserable experience. Consider that we now see some demons in the setting with free will, their own wee odd culture, and I suppose lives worth living, and remember that their ancestors just spent an eternity being locked up in Mardoom. But it wasn't his fall that revealed Sargeras' evil. It seems to us that in the blink of an eye, Sargeras just turned in the Pantheon and killed them all. In reality, it wasn't that. It took many thousands of years of brooding and ruminating. But when it happened hard. Here's where it really kicked off. Sargeras discovered a sleeping world soul, and he was convinced through Nathrezim treachery that it had all but fallen to the void. Thinking that this was the event that would end the cosmos, he cleaved the planet in two. So, that's a baby titan dead, along with anything that lived on it. He then returned to the Pantheon with this revelation that the Void would eventually win, and that in some way it was their own fault for unbalancing the cosmos.
Right.
Now, the Titans just could not see past the murder.
This is where Sargeras was right about something and they were wrong, and that he saw the threat and they just didn't take it that seriously. Now, he took it maybe too seriously and did everything the wrong way and tried to defeat the threat. The threat was real and it should be taken seriously. His solution to the threat, though, of just eliminating all life, a bit drastic. There's probably another, instead of taking the fight directly to them, he just decided, well, I'm going to basically not allow the Void to feed on anything. I'm going to take away all its food. And, unfortunately for us and every other being out there, its food was living things and planets. So he just decided to eliminate it all. And his siblings just didn't. By the way, his siblings didn't see that as the right action because they're good guys. They're just kind of lazy bitches who just didn't see the true threat.
World soul bit, so they did not listen to him, and they condemned him for what he did. So Sargeras decided to just take matters
This whole city must be purged. It is a very much an Arthas-esque storyline. Yes, Rafe, it's a good line to use here.
He would be the big bad
Calling
evil guy that the setting deserved, but also the one that it needed. The next thing we need to do is establish premeditation. Sargeras basically considered what to do, and he finally decided on the Burning Crusade, to just wipe out all life in reality. First step, get an army. So he went to Mardoom, and in the process of cracking the prison planet open, he was engulfed in fell energy, which turned him into a physical representation of all the evil inside. Not all demons were on board with his plan. They're beings of chaos. They maybe don't want to just serve some new big daddy. So Sargeras then created an enclosed prison realm within a magical scythe and simply devoured any demons who refused to join the Legion. The last rebellious lord, Ultahesh, was the Blade's final victim, giving the Blade his name. And if you're a warlock in WoW, well, you can have it. Okay. The Legion was unleashed, and its first victim was a Titan-ordered planet. We don't know much about it, but we know it was overseen by a Constellar, like Algalon, who Sargeras rapidly killed. So that was a hit on a Titan world. Now this hit forced the Titan Agrimar, who was effectively Sargeras' apprentice, to try and bring Sargeras to justice. Obviously, he failed. The entire Pantheon then tried, and they even told Sargeras about Azeroth, saying that actually Azeroth had so much power that she would be the solution to all of their problems, including Sargeras' problem, the things he was worried about. But Sargeras knew better. Sargeras knew that she would be the source of all of their problems, that a power source like Azeroth just existing was way too dangerous. So he unleashed all his power, and he slew the Titan Pantheon. they were all gone. Now, they did manage to have their essences escape through the trickery of Norgannon, but at the time, Sargeras did seem to be up to, now, a kill count of 7 Titans. That is, of course, including the sleeping World Soul.
This is why I think Sargeras is going to come back and kind of join our side in the fight, is because, yeah, who better to help us kill the Titans than the Titan Slayer himself? I mean, Sargeras has done it before, and he'll be up to the task to do it again, most likely. Now, does that mean we're aligned in our goals? No, we just kind of have the same goal in that one moment. We're like, yeah, the Titans need to die. And Sargeras can probably help us kill him because he's done it before.
He then turned his gaze on the rest of the cosmos. Now, this is a dark period of the lore. Maybe because the Legion conquered countless worlds, with over 100,000 of them apparently still, active somehow with the Legion on them. But of course, the reason we know very little about this period of time is because all the people who could have recorded it are dead, and we haven't exactly seen their artifacts and such.
Right.
But you can't imagine what it would look like. Worlds turned to ash, nuked from orbit, cut in half, firebombed out of existence. And not just a few times. All this went on for 25,000 years. But of course, since Sargeras' discovery of Azeroth, the past 10,000 or so years have been spent solely on figuring out how to wreck our planet.
Yeah. Yeah, for a while.
The time spent trying to get Azeroth has been interesting.
Like I said, at some point he flipped and he didn't want to kill Azeroth anymore.
Right now in the setting, the Void looks dominant, and right back to vanilla, the old gods had been a threat. But they were always a bit of a sideshow. The truth source of nearly all of our threats was, of course, none other than Sargeras. Let me explain. He corrupted the Eridar. That led to the rise of Archimonde and Kil'jaeden.
Right.
They then dominated unnumbered sentient races, turning whatever mortals they found into fresh demonic servants. They used pit lords to dominate the orcs, creating, of course, the bloodthirsty greenskins of Warcraft 1 and 2. One orc, though, was taken and twisted into the Lich King, who, of course, rebelled, creating the Scourge of Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
Of course, as a second-order effect of that, Lordaeron was made into a wasteland, and then, of course, there's the thousands that died in the invasion of Northrend. But he did a hell of a lot more. He whispered lies of power to Ashara and, was only stopped by literally shattering our world when the Well of Eternity blew up. But of course, that event, the end of the War of the Ancients, is far from all. There's been demons hounding us. There's been misfired spells, portals being opened, him sniffing out just any way he could.
Countless times of corruption and all kinds of stuff like that going down.
A clean
He also gave us the Warlock class, technically.
bridge to our planet. He fought the Guardian of Azeroth, Egwene, and feigned defeat, only to inhabit her son Medivh whilst he was still in the womb. Medivh then was the one who opened up the Dark Portal, and
leading
of course,
to the orcs.
in doing that, led to the events of Warcraft 1.
Yes.
So, as it turns out, Sargeras is the true person who developed World of Warcraft. That doesn't work that way.
He's the number one game
was
dev.
a funky little RTS, and a whole bunch of this lore is basically because Chris Metzen tried to go pretty hard when he was writing lore in the game manual. But hey, here we are now. And what I've covered so far is many of the ways Sargeras tried to bridge his way to Azeroth. Now, the most recent one, and the successful one, was through AU Draenor's Gul'dan, who of course launched the Third Legion invasion, a big, epic conflict that began in Azeroth and ended at the throne world of the Burning Legion. That is where we saw the depths of Sargeras' evil up close. Jawless Nathrezim traitors tortured, fallen titans bent to the Legion's will, war rooms projecting the Legion's ongoing cleansing of the universe, all leading to a final showdown with Sargeras. But though he was stopped, we don't know if he went on to face justice, because the Titans flew away. All we know is that every villain arc, story, and plot beat from Warcraft 1 through to the end of Legion manifested from Sargeras' evil. And with that laid out, let's do the count. Let's list that evil.
Defendant to the dock.
You'll just have to imagine I'm wearing a funny hat for this one. Defendant to the dock, it's time to read the charges. Count 1. Crimes against peace. Sargeras launched an unprovoked war against the people who
Many
exist.
planets. Yeah.
All of them.
Just
Count
life
2.
itself.
Omnicide. He pursued the destruction of all life. Count 3.
Omnicide. I didn't even know that's a real word. Omnicide, is that worse than genocide? I'm guessing it is. Omnicide is what? Let's see if that's a real. Omnicide. Omnicide. Oh my God, it is a real word. Omnicide is the act of killing all humans, potentially leading to the extinction of the human species and possibly all life on Earth. Wow. So he was committing omnicide on multiple planets. Okay. Got it.
Crimes against humanity, by which I really mean all sentient life. He committed mass murder on an incomprehensible scale. Count 4. Civilizational coercion. Sargeras corrupted whole species, forcing them to fight his wars.
Yeah,
Count 5.
I was going to say, some people don't have empathy for the demons. Don't forget the demons were kind of like enslaved to fight a never-ending war. What about that? I mean, the demons they're not just... Oh, Jesus. Unbelievable. Golden's coming in with the 25, man. Thank you. Thank you, Gold Zen. I appreciate that, man. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're talking some Sargeras lore right here. And as I was saying, no empathy for the demons, man. What's up? No empathy for the demons. Why? I mean, they're just another sentient being, that was just doing its thing. And then Sargeras saw their ability to regenerate and said, well, this will be a great never-ending army for me to use. And mind you, I would say demons feel pain. I mean, we've seen them yell and scream. All kinds of shit happen when they get stabbed and killed. And then they just regenerate instantly and come back again to get killed again. It's a sad life for those demons. And yes, Sargeras basically enslaved the entire demonic race to be used as his never-ending army, just churning and burning through them.
5. Crimes against nature. He corrupted ecosystems into fell, blasted wastelands. Count 6. Using weapons of mass destruction. Turns out
Oh, no.
he actually did have them, and he deployed his world-ending devices without distinction between combatant and civilian life.
We have to close the Strait of Hormuz. Sargeras cannot have weapons of mass destruction.
Count 7. The killing of numerous major and minor gods, with the attempted, of course, destruction of Azeroth herself also counting. Then Count 8. A total denial of moral rights. There is no conceivable moral system that can justify the actions of Sargeras. It cannot be done. So the hammer has came down. Sargeras is a villain beyond compare.
Yeah.
More calculating than Xalatath, who is driven by the Void's hunger. More brutal than the Titan's obsession with order. At least they wanted to build something. He's more unhinged than the jailer ever could have been. I mean, sure,
True.
They may have both realized that the whole system was broken, but Sargeras had freedom and thousands of years to prosecute his burning crusade.
Yeah.
Everything considered.
I mean, yeah, when you look at across all the villains of Azeroth history, Sargeras has done the most fucked up shit. He's really messed us up the most, and he's connected to like every single issue we've had. I mean, like he said, the opening of the portals that let the orcs into Azeroth, yep, that's Sargeras. The Lich King being created and all that shit, yeah, Sargeras. Arthas ascending the Frozen Throne, Sargeras, the Dreadlords, shit like that. What else? I mean, obviously the Burning Legion, the attacks on the planet because of that. The Legion expansion itself, Sargeras, yeah. The Draenei being sent away and corrupted and all that other shit and having to leave their planet. Outland, Draenor, Sargeras, so yeah, he's basically connected to every single story trope that we've experienced in the game. Sargeras is a good guy. He stabbed the Titan facility called the Manifold, which is the main hub that controls Azeroth's prison, the Titan prison. Look, I talked about this. Sargeras' goal was originally to kill Azeroth. At some point in the lore, it's written in there, and we're going to probably experience it in the last Titan. He gets like a vision of Azeroth. And he talks about like looking into her eyes and all this. I don't know if he gets horny or what, but he decides, I guess, in that moment, he's not going to kill her anymore. So the whole stab that he does at the end of Legion was, like Goldzen's describing, not to kill her anymore. That was no longer his goal, but to potentially free her. And this is where shit starts to get a little bit weird. We're like, oh, is Sargeras kind of on our side now? Maybe. Is he a good guy? No, I wouldn't say he's a good guy. But he might have the same end goal as us now.
There is no conceivable space for a redemption arc, but there may be space for one final act. The World Soul Saga has been building towards an immense clash of the gods. The the Titans return. Xal'atath is ascendant, and Sargeras is in the mix, somehow. And then there's a Raidacron who's just really pissed off and wants to kill the Titans because
that's right. He's there too.
vengeance is delicious to him. But the thing is, up until now, it was hard to see how Sargeras would figure into this war. I mean, we know we'll get perhaps a deeper understanding of why he started his Burning Crusade, but without any details, the door was just left open for something. Some people maybe thought a redemption arc, others a return to his evil roots, or maybe something else entirely. But there is then those recent leaks that bring a bit of a new perspective to this whole World Soul Saga thing, and specifically its end state. We will go into this in a dedicated video soon, but for now, know that, at least per those leaks, Azeroth is set to wake up. Now, we kind of already knew that, but the more shocking reveal is that Azeroth doesn't want to just slurp up Azeroth's power. It's that she maybe wants to, merge with Azeroth, dominate her mind, kind of become her. And of course, we've seen this throughout Xal'atath's character arc. She's literally a parasite. Her void form was, of course, bound to the Blade of the Black Empire. Since then, though, she body-hopped into an elf called Nanis and has spent every waking moment since consuming as much power as possible. The final step of that plan? It's one last body hop into our World Soul. And while not officially confirmed, if the grapevine is to be believed, that's the direction we're going. Now, if Azeroth was to wake up as Xal'atath, then, well, she would have basically the power of creation at her fingertips. It's quite hard to see how we win against that. Unless, of course, we use every available force in the setting to fight her, and, at the last critical moment, maybe Sargeras appears, maybe pulls his sword from Silithus,
maybe his pull-out game,
plants it in his target. Just that this time, the body of Azeroth would be inhabited by Xal'atath. That would not be a redemption in any way. It could be seen to be a final heroic deed. It, I suppose, would literally save the universe. And with it done, it would be up to us to take everything Sargeras learned about, say, balance in the cosmos, and maybe apply some less brutal measures to the problem. That'll be for WoW 2.0 to figure out.
The Great Reset,
for now,
which I still think is happening after the last Titan.
What would Sargeras do after he does whatever he does? Does Sargeras end up being the final boss, perhaps? Because look, it's totally possible that Midnight ends as the leak suggested, that somehow we lose, Xal'atath gets what she wants. But it's also possible that in the last Titan, we do end up defeating Xal'atath, maybe with the help of Sargeras. But by no means does that mean that the expansion would be over, that would be the final story, and that Sargeras and us would just head down to the pub for a pint together like we're somehow friends. No. Sargeras is still Sargeras. He is morally irredeemable. We know that. He knows we know that. And
he doesn't have
pretty
morals.
damn sure an alliance of convenience to take out Xal'atath, much like our alliance of convenience with her to deal with the Dementius problem, would be just that. And then sure, we might deal with Xal'atath, merged into Azeroth, but what will be left? Maybe Azeroth? Would Azeroth still have power? And what of all the other characters? The Titans would be there. Sargeras would be there. Sargeras and the Titans are not friends. Iridikron would be there. And he wants to kill all the Titans.
This guy.
Very much, I would not think that dealing with Xal'atath, and maybe Sargeras helping us do that, means that he'll be redeemed and that will be the end of the story. Very much no. So, if you want to deeply understand what's going on, watch our video on the Jailer. It's all about how, just like Sargeras, he saw the universe was doomed, and how it all points to a Titan conspiracy, which is, of course, the Titan conspiracy that is driving the World Soul Saga.
Yeah, nice video overall, and definitely a lot to take in here. Sam, isn't BlizzCon really soon? I think we'll figure it out very soon what's going to happen. Yeah, it's in September. And yeah, they're going to for sure show like some sort of cinematic that's going to lead into the last Titan. So we'll get like our first piece of this story and what exactly is going to happen post last Titan, or what is going to happen, I should say, at the end of last Titan, and then maybe eventually what we think will happen after the last Titan's over. But yeah, our first basically official take on this whole Titan battle and everything is probably going to happen at BlizzCon. No doubt. So yeah, we're about a month away from figuring out or getting our first inklings as to what the whole story of the last Titan and the end of the World Soul Saga is going to be. So it should be interesting for sure. Nice video overall from Bellular.